Hello and welcome to Thursday. Yesterday was the September 2016 Apple event. I was not able to watch it because I was driving from Indiana all the way back to South Carolina, but today I have a chance to actually view this thing. Also, you'll notice that the format for these Apple events has changed a little bit. This is the exact same recording setup and distribution format that I used for the E3 videos. People seem to really enjoy it, so I'm doing the exact same thing. So you'll be getting my live reactions to this event. Now, I've tried to stay as spoiler-free as possible, but it has been a day and people post stuff on Twitter, so I know a few things. I follow Mac rumors fairly religiously, so all of the rumors that have circulated over some time I am aware of, and I presume that most of them are true, and I guess we'll find out today. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started on a magical journey through this Apple event. Tim Cook, Pharrell, and a late-night talk show host that I can never remember the name of are driving a car and singing Sweet Home Alabama, and I don't know what's happening. That seemed largely unnecessary, but I guess we're finally starting. People use their phones to play video games. It's the most popular category on iOS, and apparently there are 500,000 games in the App Store. It's Mario! This is one of the things that was slightly spoiled. See, we have a group of people that chat about these events, and yesterday they were chatting. Mal was in the group, so she was telling me kind of what was happening before I was like, no, stop telling me things. And someone said Miyamoto is on stage. I actually thought that they were joking. I was like, why would Miyamoto be on stage? And then it occurred to me, it's too obvious. Of course he would be. Why wouldn't we have this partnership? So this should be very interesting.
Super Mario Run.
Super Mario Runs, because endless runners. Because endless runners. Because endless runners. I should clarify that endless running is not the bane of existence of games on iOS. It's just, it seems to be a trend. Sonic was a game that finally got an endless runner, and honestly, I played it and it was pretty good. It was actually pretty good, and it suited it well. So maybe Mario is kind of the same. So I'm watching it now, and yeah, sure, it makes sense. And it doesn't really matter what I think, because it will do exceptionally well. They keep showing shots of the crowd as Miyamoto's talking, and the crowd is eating it up. I think they really appreciate him being here. It looks like they've put a lot of thought into the game. It looks like there's, you know, some intricacy into the game. I mean, it's still an endless runner, which doesn't really speak to me. I've played a lot of them. Some of them are good, some of them are not, but they're all very similar. I will probably download this and play it and try it, but I don't feel like it's a game that would hold my attention very long. Oh, apparently it's going to cost something and not have microtransactions. Oh. That's not what I expected. I expected it to be free with microtransactions. Cool. I actually prefer that by a lot. I would rather pay $1 or $2 for a game and then it not bug me ever again. Apple is announcing real-time collaboration for iWork, which they seem really excited about, considering that, like, Google Docs has had it for God knows how long. Like 10 years? Maybe 10 years? I don't know. All I know is that I've been editing documents with other people in real time since college. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is useful for anyone who is deeply invested in iWork. If you have a company or something and they're all using OS X or Mac OS, excuse me, and they want to have collaboration inside of that atmosphere, then sure. But I also feel like if they needed real-time collaboration that badly, they probably are already using Google Docs, or I assume that the Microsoft suite has real-time collaboration. I haven't used it in years, but I assume that it has it as well, so it's cool. It's good that they did it, but I don't know if anyone's gonna use it because they probably have already been doing something else. Pokemon Go is coming to Apple Watch in a move that I didn't, I guess, see coming, but when they announced, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Oh, the Niantic founder and CEO is coming out. So you can't actually catch the Pokemon on the watch. It's not that you can play the game on the watch. It just kind of works with the activity aspect of the Apple Watch to track stuff. You can also get items from Pokestops and things like that. It's neat. It's an integration that makes sense. The Apple Watch 2 finally exists. Everyone was wondering when it was going to happen. Well, here it is. Also, say what you will about Apple, love or hate them. They do really great videos, or the production company they work with does really great videos. They always hit the mark on those. Based on everything they're talking about, it feels like this second edition watch is really targeted towards swimmers, because the first watch was splash proof and this one is water resistant, and they did a bunch of tests to make sure that it would work if you swam every day forever. So it's really targeting people that do a lot of swimming. GPS is now built into the Apple Watch, so if you don't want to take your phone with you, you can just use your watch. That's pretty neat. So they just spent the last several minutes talking about Apple Watch Nike Plus, and I can't figure out what that is. It's a separate product, but like, what it, like, is it it only does the running portion, or is it also an Apple Watch? And do people that have a normal Apple Watch, do they have access to the Nike Plus stuff? Is it a I don't know. They want you to buy a watch just for running. They have not made that very clear. Interesting. They have the new watch, obviously, but they're taking the old watch, the Series 1, and putting the dual-core processor into that. Okay, that actually may be a little confusing for consumers, because there was an Apple Watch, and then now there's an Apple Watch Series 2, but then they made an Apple Watch Series 1, which is just the Apple Watch, but they upgraded the processor. In a few years, it won't matter. Wow. 1 billion iPhones have been sold. I'd say in circulation. Some of them probably are not still around, but that's a lot of phones. It's time to unveil the iPhone 7. It's got 2 cameras, bop, 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 doop, doop, doop. They're going through 10 important new things about iPhone, and they've been spending a lot of time on number 4, which is the camera. There's just not anything to mention. Like, I've sat here and I'm like, man, I haven't spoken in a while, but like, it's just nothing to talk about. Now they're finally getting to the iPhone 7 Plus camera, so maybe there'll be something to say now, but like, up to this point I've been watching and I'm just like, it's better, you know, like, this is better and this is better, and I know that they do that each time, but there's nothing like revolutionarily new, so maybe the Plus camera will do something neat. So with the 2 cameras, they're allowing you to do telephoto and have optical zoom up to 2x, but they're allowing the camera to actually do digital zoom all the way to 10x, and based on these images, it looks good. I mean, digital zoom is never going to look as good as optical zoom because of obvious reasons, but the fact that they give you optical zoom is neat, and the fact that it looks, you know, good enough to allow digital zoom to go up to 10 is good. It's good. It's an improvement, like everything else. So one of the things that the camera system can do, and it's apparently more software based, is that it does a depth map to apply software based shallow depth of field. Basically, it makes the background blurry, which is something that you want in portraiture because it looks cool. It's nice looking. It's just interesting. Like, it's not real based on what they've said. Like, it's figuring out where the people are and then just applying a blur effect. If it works, then it works. I mean, you can do it yourself in Photoshop. I mean, if you have a camera that's not that good, you can apply that kind of thing in Photoshop. So the fact that the iPhone can just do it on the fly is fine if it works. So neat. Part of me wonders if they will make this work for video, but I kind of doubt it. I don't think that is going to be something that they will make available for video, because if they did, that'd be pretty neat. That would be really cool. Oh man, they're doing it. They're doing it. Yep. Okay, there's been a rumor for a long time that iPhone 7 was going to be the phone where they ditched the 3.5mm jack, and it's happening. Man, this is weird because, like, I'm really curious how they're going to explain this. Because this is like, I understand why they're doing it, but it's not an easy thing to explain. Like, it's not like, hey, you know that thing, that device that you've all had forever? Yeah, we're getting rid of it. So I wonder how they're going to spin this.
And we're going to include that in the box with every iPhone 7 and 7 Plus as well.
Okay, so they're including the adapter. They have not, like, straight up said we're getting rid of the jack. They've alluded to it heavily.
But it really comes down to one word: courage. The courage to move on.
Courage. Okay, you guys could have spun this in a million ways. Courage is not what I expected you to say, and sounds really dumb. So they're going to push Bluetooth. They're going to say, hey everyone, remember, Bluetooth is a thing. Use Bluetooth. Stop worrying about this stuff. AirPods. 5 hours of listening time, which at first I was like, that's not a lot of time, but I guess it's a fairly reasonable amount of time unless you're on like a super long flight, which is probably also where you would want earphones or headphones the most. What was interesting to me is that the case apparently is a charging station, so like the case has a charge, so you can listen to them for 5 hours and you put them in the case, and it seems like the case actually charges them also, so the case is its own battery pack. That's neat. I mean, this makes sense. You know, it does, especially since Apple so desperately wanted to get rid of the jack. This is a good solution for them to be like, hey, I know we got rid of this jack, but we made these cool things. You should buy these also, because I know that these aren't included. Beats is actually doing their own wireless headset, which is probably for the best, and apparently it has a 40-hour battery life, which makes sense because they're headphones and they're bigger. But I feel like a lot of people like Beats. I don't own Beats because I use Sennheiser, but Beats are very popular, and it's one of those things like if someone's going to be on a plane and listen to something for a long time, they're probably the same people that would buy Beats, so maybe it'll all be fine. Maybe there won't be any problems.
With the power of metal and the A10 chip, we're able to render over 400 flying monkeys, all at a flawless frame rate.
Sorry. I just want everyone to just kind of feel the amazement that in 2016 a crowd of people will clap because a woman said we can render 400 flying monkeys all at one time. What a world we live in.
Nothing proves performance like 400 flying monkeys.
Oh my god. Sorry, it's great. They made mention of it. Oh my god. Oh, they did it. Oh, praise the Lord. Finally, the base configuration iPhone is 32 gigs. 16. It's too small. 16 is too small. But finally, it's 32. They also doubled everything, so it goes from 32 to 128, which is a considerable jump. But, you know, whatever. Woo! iOS 10, September 13th. See, I'm not getting a new phone, so I'm looking forward to iOS.
Please join me in welcoming Sia.
Sia! Pause. Because that would be a copyright nightmare. Anyway, that's it. It's over. That was it. That was the Apple event. As far as Apple events go, taking into consideration the few that happen around the year and then obviously WWDC, this is probably one of the most lackluster Apple events that I have seen. If you're a swimmer and you're interested in buying an Apple Watch, there's that. If you are a Nintendo fan who has an iPhone, there's that. If you have an Apple Watch and you play Pokemon Go, I guess there's that. I mean, otherwise, bleh. The iPhone 7 is not a lot of updates. There really isn't. There's a few things, a few bullet points, but a lot of the rumors have been, for the past several months, that the iPhone 8 is going to be some huge, groundbreaking, crazy thing. They've been following this pattern of release S, release S, and the rumor is that they're breaking that up next generation. So in 2017, instead of having a 7S, we're going to have an 8, and supposedly that iPhone 8 is going to be very, very good. That's the rumor, and that honestly seems truer than ever based on the fact that the 7 just seems to be like, yeah, it's, you know, it's better. You know, no crazy groundbreaking feature. Now the 7 Plus has got the dual cameras, but like that's it. And it's weird because, like, I understand why you can't zoom into 2x. I understand it's a separate lens, but still, that feels weird. I can't wait for them to, like, get that figured out. And then also make it where I can zoom in 100 times because I want all of the things that can't exist. But having optical zoom is good. Apparently the digital zoom got better, but otherwise, just all in all, it's just meh. You know, if you are coming from an iPhone 6S, you don't need a 7. That's the way it always is. But now more than ever, it's like, oh God, don't get one. I have a 6S Plus. I will not be getting a 7. There's just no reason for it whatsoever. If you have something older, you could possibly consider it. Maybe a 6. Definitely, if you have like a 5S or a 5, a 7 might be a good jump up. The big thing is going to be that 3.5mm port being removed. That is a huge thing. I understand why they did it, and honestly, I feel like I'm kind of numb to it because I've been following the rumor sites so long, and I've known that it was going to get removed at some point for so long that I've already kind of disconnected myself from the feelings of that. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course it's gone. Yeah, I've known it's going to be gone. As far as like how I actually feel about that, I don't really use the headphone port. I just don't. We used to use it to play music in the car, but then I got that Bluetooth dongle, and that's how I play music in the car now. So the only time I ever really used headphones was on flights. That's pretty much the only time I ever used headphones. And when I would go on flights and use headphones, Mao and I would split the connection and usually listen to the same music together. Nothing will change because they're going to include that adapter, so I can still use my splitter and listen with, you know, actual headphones. So it doesn't really affect me. Like, is it going to affect other people? Sure. Is it going to affect phone sales? I think it will, but I think it's going to be really mild. As far as like all of the companies that could possibly do this sort of thing, Apple's probably in the best position to do it. Well, on one hand, they're going to make the most news by doing it. Another company doing this is going to make far less news. A lot of people aren't going to care. Apple doing it, people are going to care. So it's going to create more headlines about that anyway. But also, people like Apple, people like iPhones. I'm sure there's going to be people that don't buy an iPhone 7 because they're sour over the 3.5mm port. But I also feel like that port is probably going to go away. Not just in Apple devices. I feel like that's something that's going to eventually disappear from devices, and this is just, you know, the start of that. Anyway, my 2 cents. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. This was an Apple event. I'm most looking forward to iOS 10, which will be out in just a few days, which is exciting. What do you think about this event? Give me your thoughts down below. Talk about the event. Talk about, you know, Miyamoto appearing on stage and doing things like that. Talk about the headphone jack removal. I'm really curious to see what your opinions are of that. Like I said, I feel almost disconnected from the entire thing because I've kind of accepted that it was leaving for many months now. But if this came as a surprise for anyone, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. Do you think it is a good move? Do you think it's a bad move? How great do you think it's going to affect sales? And do you think that in the future it's going to be gone anyway? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?